Yo, 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 this is the Takeover.
Coming at you, detections live in color. All right, so you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, Rev?
Yes. They call me the CyberReverend, Comandante Bowie on Twitter. I've been in IT for about 12 plus years. Been in cyber for about 5 or 6 years. I've worked at several agencies, including one that I cannot disclose. I am co-founder of a mobile app development company called Margin LLC, and I am the founder and CEO or COO of MaxProd Technologies, which is a cybersecurity startup. So I got into cyber pretty much, the hard way. Started off at the help desk, worked my way up the chain, and pivoted over with no skills, no degree, no certs. Just had drive, hunger, and a lot of will. And from there, that my cybersecurity career took off. So that's just a little bit about me. What about you, sir?
All right, so I am Flannel Sec. I can be found on Twitter, Flannel Sec. So I've done everything the hard way. I didn't necessarily start out into computers to get into the field. I was in the military, so I kind of had the defensive mindset, offensive mindset, just wanted to make things right. After I got out of the military, I actually went to culinary school, had a restaurant for a while. I was a construction project manager. I then decided to get into IT, go back to school for it. So I worked through the help desk. I finally did get my cybersecurity degree, which was wonderful, going through finals while my baby was being born. So that made everything easy. I did decide to go the cert route. That's kind of what one of my professors pounded into my head. Certs will get you there. Starting to find out that's a lot of bullshit. For the most part, it's what you know. It's not necessarily what certs you have hanging on the wall. So as I sit here and look at them right now, I'm thinking how much money that I may have wasted. However, while going through all that, what I did do well was I started a home lab, and that's kind of what got me into the door, into cyber, being able to sit in an interview and actually answer the questions that were being asked rather than a constant, I'm not sure that wasn't covered in my courses or my certs.
Yeah.
But I am a SOC analyst coming up here pretty soon. So I actually start that after the first of the year. I finally made it into cyber. Thank you, God. So that's kind of my background.
Sweet. While you said that on the subject of folks there's this enigma out there, or there's this saying out there that you have to have degrees and certs to get in, and let's talk about it has to be more than just certs and degrees. What would you say? What's needed for folks to actually get into the field? What would you say outside of certs and degrees? What do they really need?
I mean, it's going to be that hands-on learning and labbing.
Yeah.
So the way I see it, the cert, the degree, it's going to get you past HR. But as soon as you get in front of a hiring manager, if you don't have a home lab, if you haven't actually tried to work on that before, if you don't have hands-on on a system, I mean, it could be something so little as actually helping with a church. It's getting your hands on a PC outside of just sitting in front of it at home. But actually, I mean, if you can dig through some logs, if you can run Wireshark, if you know what the different traffic looks like on the wire, it's going to help you so much more than that cert or that degree. Getting past HR, that's all that's for. But if you don't have a home lab or you're not doing hands-on, as soon as you get into any sort of interview, I mean, they're gonna find you out real quick. Going through my degree, I mean, it looks great on a resume, but I literally can say that I learned absolutely nothing going through the degree that will actually help me later on. Taking that help desk job, I got to see so much was thrown at me. I mean, it's almost like drinking from a fire hose when you first come out of college with just literally no experience.
Yeah.
I know everybody says, oh, you have to work help desk, and some people kind of balk at it, but working help desk, you're going to see so much more than you really expected. Some of the different things I went through with that it was eye-opening. I mean, I've got some great experience from it. What are your thoughts on it?
Same here. Again, I got into cyber with no degree and no certs, but I had drive and hunger. And again, everybody's banking on Security Plus. I mean, everybody got the Security Plus. The mailman down the street got the Security Plus. but what helps you stick out to the recruiter? And like you said before, there has to be a home lab. There has to be stuff you're doing outside of just banking on a certification. When we look at resumes and all we see is, maybe you worked at CVS, but then you have one certification and that's it. That resume gets thrown out the window. We need to see some activity. We need to see some type of, are you actually, what I like to do, I like to look at, I guess when I first started out, I like to look at what are they going to have me doing on the job? What are they going to have me doing on the job? And then I will Google how to actually do it. So if it's reading PCAPs, okay, I Google how to do it. If it's using Splunk, I Google how to do it. I set the lab up at home. Is it reading logs? Is it understanding execution and proof of execution, first level forensics, those type of things that I'm playing around with at home, to help myself look valuable. Because again, I don't have a degree and I don't have very many certs. So that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm pretty sure a lot of recruiters are looking for. It's for people who are separating themselves. Do you have a GitHub account? Do you have a blog post showing what you're doing? What are you doing on social media? Are you posting, hey, today I played with some malware, this is what I learned. Or, hey, today I did some forensics, this is what I did. Are you posting that? Are you getting that digital footprint, if you will, out there so that recruiters are not just seeing, or you just worked at Home Depot and now you just want to come to cyber. Or you just worked at CVS. No, you got to show that you're actually different from the others, because everybody got the same certs. Mm-hmm. And most people have degrees, but what makes you stand out? And so I think those are things that helped me stand out when I got in, or after I got in, and that's what's going to help people stand out who are trying to get in.
So something people need to kind of take into consideration. One of the large things I constantly see on Twitter, I constantly see on LinkedIn, is everyone and this anger they have towards the 3 to 5 years to get in for entry level cyber. Trying to get into entry level cyber, I can tell you just how frustrating that was and how pissed off I was the entire time. Yeah. What was able to differentiate me from the other people that may not have had that 3 to 5 years in cyber was me being able to transfer the skills I did have into experience for cybersecurity. Gotcha. I may not have done 3 to 5 years worth of cyber, but the different aspects of what I've done in my life, I was able to transfer over into that. Different aspects of what I did for project management. I'm able to handle multiple things at a time. I can handle multiple tickets. I mean, going into SOC, you're obviously going to have to deal with tickets. So I was able to handle that. Yeah. Some of the different things I've done through the military, I was able to translate over into that 3 to 5 years that I needed for cybersecurity. Just regular stuff I did while I worked IT for a school where I was the single point IT guy for 1,300 end users. The different aspects of what a 6th to 8th grade student is able to get into would blow most people's minds. They're much, much smarter than most of the adult end users I've dealt with while working help desk, and just having to do forensics on some of those computers, some of the different things that I found on those students' computers and different aspects that actually needed law enforcement. I'm able to translate that into a skill on my resume that looks like cybersecurity. Everyone has experience that translates into cybersecurity. It's finding that language to be able to put it on your resume in order to get past HR. That's a skill in and of itself. And I think that's something that more people need to look into, is just how to translate the skills they do have to cybersecurity skills. But I also think a lot of people need to realize that as far as IT goes, cybersecurity is not an entry-level job.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. Absolutely not. Again, like you said, you hit it on the nail. You hit the head on the nail. Am I saying that right? Have transferable skills, but also there's a principle I like to use. If you're working on a help desk trying to get in, I use this principle called get out of your seat. You're creating tickets to send to these different groups that handle troubleshoot, and most likely you're sending tickets to the cybersecurity team. I would start networking. I'm a networking guy. Even if you're an introvert, you can still, get to know who's who and begin to network. And I got into cyber because of, I worked on the help desk. I used that customer service skills to pretty much win me a spot in a SOC. And I didn't know who the person was. I just used my customer service skills when I ran into the individual to assist them. And from there, that started the network. And then from there, I was hired. So a lot of the times is you may have the transferable skills, but you're too, to yourself. And I've run into a lot of people in the field who they don't like to network. They don't like to get out and meet people because you never know who you might meet. It's not always what you know, but sometimes it's who you know. And the who you know will get you to the next who you know. So get out of your seat. You have those skills, but get out of your seat. Start meeting people. Start talking to people. Start knowing who these people are. And maybe that will help you also to get your foot in the door.
Not only that, I think if you do have like a tier 1 help desk, tier 2 help desk, don't be afraid to talk to the people that you kick your cyber tickets to see if you can try your hand at one.
Yeah.
When you have those tier 2, tier 3 guys above you, if it's an issue that's not terribly pressing, but it's something that's going to get you some experience, if you've built those relationships through networking, they may either be willing to sit down and walk you through it, or they may be willing to let you try your hand at it. That way you can try to build that experience. So if you do come across a question like that in an interview, you've had that hands-on experience. It's definitely best when you have someone behind you that can handle it or does know what to do, but don't sit and watch them do it. You need to get hands-on while they're over your shoulder. That way, if you do start to go off path, they can bring you back, but you need to be the one doing it. That is the best way to learn, is actually getting hands-on.
Hands-on. And taking notes. Please take notes. Don't be that person that always, how you do this again? How you do this again? Documentation. I like, I'm a security engineer now, and the stuff they show me, I write it down because I don't like to be that it's always that one person you work with that after you showed them, you're just like irritated because you showed it to them like 10 times. Don't be that person. I know it's supposed to be an open team and this, that, and the third, but sometimes that does get irritating. Take initiative, write this stuff down so you don't have to ask a person again. And also, like you said, to your point, take a shot at one of these tickets. If you get it right, ask, can you do all the tickets that relate to that same or that relate to that same issue? And that also gets you that extra practice that you need, that will help you basically instill that skill into your skill set.
And something I found on my job is, as I started taking on some of those tickets, doing them, my leash got longer. I could start to wander out a little bit more from the little sandbox they had me playing in. They realized, okay, he could take these tickets. Yeah. And then when I asked, hey, can I take a shot at this? Sure. So the more you take on, the more you're going to get noticed as well, and the easier it is to move up. Yes. Not only that, as you start to branch out, you start to take some of these other tickets. When you do try to maybe break out of IT and go into more of a cybersecurity type position, you're going to have the best people behind you that are willing to give you recommendations. Yes. I mean, the recommendations I got definitely made some headway for me. And the people they're so excited because a lot of times you get people in tier 1 help desk, and that's just where they're at for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
I mean, they get in it, they get complacent, they get bored, the money's decent, they're okay.
Yeah.
So when they finally have someone that's willing to take on more and willing to break out, I mean, you can be a star. You really can. It's just, it's taken that initiative to not be the same guy as everyone else on the team.
Yes. I'm looking at a few awards on my desk right now from help desk by going in and taking the initiative. And I knew the hiring manager, and in the interview, he told me, I know you very well, but I will fire you. And I think that's all I needed to hear. That's all I needed to hear to come in there and, do my thing. So yeah, they are looking for people. And it's not just in cyber where they're looking for people who stand out. Stand out where you are now. Be a hard worker where you are now, because you're going to need that help when you're looking at 1,000, 2,000 alerts in a SIM. You're going to need that same hard work that you use when you're moving boxes and, creating tickets. You're going to need that same energy on this side of the field. So be a hard worker where you are now, because it does translate over to where you're going to be if you move over into cyber.
Most definitely. So from there, let's kind of, we talked a little bit about the mindset that you need to get into the field. Let's talk about your mindset in the middle of a meltdown as far as incident response goes, because as everyone knows right now with the whole SolarWinds type thing, there's quite a few meltdowns going on.
I've been in environments where the top guy running around, head cut off like a chicken, and then the SOC team lead doing the same thing. Stay calm. Please stay calm. There's an incident response process there for a reason. There are playbooks there for a reason. If you have playbooks, stay calm. Don't overreact. Again, some of the top leaders may not be too deep or too skilled in cyber, so everything seems like a fire. I like to keep maintain your cool. Mm-hmm. Stay calm. Just do what you have to do. If you run into something on your network, take that, pivot from it, see if you can find more. Leave all communications in a bluff format, which is bottom line up front. Don't over exaggerate. Don't lie. Don't be extra with the communication with the leadership, again, because everything's a fire to them. So stay cool, keep your cool, and just you're going to be in situations like this all the time. It's not going to be frequent, but when they do happen, the same process you handle for this, you're going to have to do it for the next one. So get those playbooks together. And there's a lessons learned in all of this. So get your team together and try to figure out how can you guys do this better or respond to this incident better the next time.
Yeah, I think one of my main things here, having been a project manager before, lessons learned for me is one of the biggest things. You need to figure out what you guys did well. You need to figure out what you did wrong, and you need to fix it. You need to take ownership over the entire process. Yeah. At the end of it, you need to learn. If you don't learn from this situation, then you're wasting a solid learning opportunity. Yeah. Situations like this are great to figure out whether or not you have updated plans and you've tested them. Yeah. A lot of places that I've been before, they've made incident response plans, disaster recovery plans. They never tested them. So in a situation like now, this is the wrong type of situation to find out whether or not all that wonderful planning you guys did is actually solid. Yeah. This is also the wrong time to learn whether or not you have good, clean backups.
Yeah. Yeah. That too.
But yeah, stay calm. I think at the end of the day, something people need to realize is you're not going to die from this situation. This is not a life or death type situation. Stay calm. From everything we've gone through with all the different breaches as of late, it seems like 3 months later, no one ever remembers you had a breach. Now, this is something that's going to stick around for quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard people saying this is a digital Pearl Harbor. Okay, that's fine. But it's one of those things where you need to learn the lessons from it. You need to stay calm. You need to get through it. I think one of the things we could definitely take away from this type of situation is everybody seems to be afraid of breaches. They are afraid of how it makes them look. But this is one of those situations where no matter if you're a large company or a small company, you need to share information.
Share information.
I think this should be a great lesson for everybody to share information. As we're working through everything, we're finding out exactly what happened. Everybody needs to be sharing that information. That way, if you're one of these companies where you're not entirely sure, you were one of the 18,000 companies, you're not sure if you had a breach, if everyone else is sharing information, what they share may help you find out exactly what you may have had lost or what they may have had access to.
Yeah.
This seems to be a field. So one of my largest gripes with cybersecurity, I think a lot of it's come from Twitter, is just how negative everyone is. And it's one of those situations, oh, you guys didn't know that. You didn't know that. You couldn't figure that out. It's not about how elite or awesome you are. I mean, share information with each other. Just as long as you're not giving out that secret sauce, which in a situation like this, you're likely not.
Yeah.
Be open. I mean, hell, just be open with each other. That way, if everyone gets through this quicker, easier, it's better on everyone.
Yeah.
The longer it takes for people to get through it, they're just going to be even more sour, and it's going to scare people wanting to get into the field.
And on that subject, you said be open and share information. Another thing I would like to throw in there for those who are working in the SOC, there's also a stigma in different environments where the SOC team has issues with the IT ops team. The IT ops own this and the SOC owns that, and that needs to go away. That pride you need both. Believe it or not, the IT ops team, the server team, the system admins, the SOC team all need to work together, because guess what? Who's going to do the cleanup? It's not necessarily going to be the SOC team doing the cleanup. It's going to be the IT ops team. And instead of pointing the blame and you guys didn't patch or you guys didn't do this or that, this is a perfect time to mend that relationship, because you never know when something like this is going to happen again. So put your pride out, get your pride out the way. And sometimes it starts at the top leadership that owns or runs both divisions. They get into it and it's just a mess. This is a perfect time for IT ops, the server admins, the system admins, and the SOC to join as one force and clean it up, because this may happen again and it may get the same result in some environments.
Yeah, and that comes back to lessons learned. I mean, you can't be adversaries in the same company.
Yeah.
Having been on the outside looking in larger companies, security, IT, to someone on the outside, it's all IT. They don't differentiate between security and IT. And it's funny that when you're in security or IT, you do differentiate a lot of times.
Yeah.
And you're on the same team. Just play nice together.
Yeah.
Buckle down, figure it out, get it all cleared up, and get back to your regular daily grind.
Yes. Yep.
So having covered that, we've gone a little awry. We've gone a little bit backwards from the way they do things on detection, but this is detection in living color, so we do things our own way.
Yeah.
So what news stories did you come with today?
All right, I got two.
Okay.
The Google Project Zero, they have disclosed a Windows zero-day vulnerability caused by an improper fix to CVE 2020-0986. That is the Microsoft Windows spool while 64 privilege escalation vulnerability. This vulnerability has an elevation of privilege that exists when a Windows kernel fails to properly handle objects in memory. Kaspersky came out with some type of report, and they referred to it as Operation Power Fail. This is also being tracked at CVE 2020-17008, where they found another privilege escalation vulnerability that could be abused by simply changing the exploitation method in the previous CVE and arbitrarily pointer the reference flaw affecting the GDI print and print spooler API. Microsoft has acknowledged the issue, and they have postponed the fix for it. I don't know why, but they postponed the fix, but they're aware of the issue. The second one,
everybody December off.
Yeah, they're giving everybody in December off. The second one is Kawasaki.
Yes.
Believe they got hit.
Ransomware.
With information from overseas offices. They feel like some of their data was stolen in a security breach from some of the offices, external parties. They feel like the data was leaked to them. This was also revealed in an internal audit where they found out that there was a connection to a server in Japan. And then they found out in further investigations that there were more servers in Japan that had unauthorized connection, authorized access from other overseas sites like Indonesia, Philippines, and the U.S. Kawasaki has established a cybersecurity group back in November to tighten up the controls and to monitor for unauthorized access. But I think they mitigated the original issue. So that's what I have for news.
Now, where were those leaks going? Did they know who was behind it?
It didn't say in the report. I got it off the Security Weekly site.
Okay.
They did not say who. They just said that there were unauthorized accesses to their servers from their external parties that they deal with.
Okay. So as far as news stories I found, one that I thought was interesting at this time was that Finland says hackers access MPs' emails accounts. So the Finnish parliament, they had a cyber attack that took place right around the same time that Russian hackers breached Norway's parliament email system. So this happened in the fall of 2020. So if Russia indeed was behind this and they're the ones that are behind the SolarWinds attack, they've had themselves quite a busy fall 2020. This is indeed being investigated as suspected espionage. Now, Finland hasn't attributed this hack to anyone, but Norway did indeed say that they found different markers that lead back to AP28, which is a group that's linked to Russians' GRU, which is the same group that's been highlighted by Microsoft for targeting email accounts using credential stuffing and brute force attacks here recently. So the MO would likely line up with Russia. However, not going to point any fingers because, as we all know, Trump points to China.
Yeah.
One of the other news stories I have is that Microsoft, McAfee, Rapid7, Citrix, CyberReverend, and a couple different cyber advocacy groups such as Cyber Threat Alliance and Global Cyber Alliance are forming a new ransomware task force. It's going to be aimed at helping companies overcome ransomware, both after the fact, during their main set is working on sharing threat intelligence to try to prevent ransomware. They're pulling in a lot of the different ISAC groups to try to help with information sharing between different industries. I think, honestly, this could be a great thing. I think a couple of their, goals seem a little bit of a reach, but I mean, if you don't reach for the stars, you're not going to reach the moon.
Yeah.
But they hope to have technologists, policy leaders, lawyers, and former government leaders all working together to make it a point where prevention isn't the only goal, but actually hunting down the criminals. They want that to be feasible. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Something else I found that I thought was interesting. It's not necessarily large news, but there is a security researcher out there that kind of wanted to quantify how large the SolarWinds hack is. And one thing he compared it to was how doctors essentially rate cancer. So he rated it between like a stage 0 through a stage 4, with obviously 4 being the worst and 0 just being like hackers have made entry into the network but have taken no action.
Wow.
That article can be found out there on GeekWire, and I'm not really going to go into details on it, but I think it's definitely worth a read. I can go ahead and get the URL for that over to Exiled. Maybe we can get that in the show notes, but I think he has a really interesting take on how to actually quantify the different damage that this has done. I mean, a lot of people hear hack, and I mean, hack anymore could be anything from somebody breaking into one person's emails or Yahoo giving up 56 billion accounts, because that's just what happened. But people hear hack anymore and they don't really know how to quantify it. But I think something like this, obviously this isn't going to be how people quantify hacks, because the cybersecurity industry likes to take things that are done well and then warp it to fit us, whether or not it works.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting for people with a technology background or people without a technology background to really be able to understand how it works.
Yeah.
So for our detection, you want to dig into that a little bit?
Yeah. So in light of, the new cyber events that are occurring, or incidents I should call, this is a perfect time for insider threats to roam. Now that the attention is somewhere else, we can start, looking or start reviewing or analyzing traffic on the network that may resemble insider threat activity. But there's other ways that you can find that. Would you like to elaborate on the UBA?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys use UEBA, UBA, depending on what you call it, user and entity behavioral analysis. So the main part behind UEBA is leveraging baselines to let you know if an employee is acting out of their necessary scope, their normal scope, or of behavior. That way you can have early indicators of potential malicious intent. So essentially what it does is it takes a baseline of a user's normal daily behaviors. If they access a certain amount of data on a daily basis, go to certain websites on a daily basis, it builds this profile on a user to see what the normal baseline is going to be. Now, if you have a user that just randomly starts downloading 50, 60 gigs of files a day, it's going to be outside the scope of their normal behavior, and it's going to alert you on that. Another benefit is going to be if an employee has someone steal their credentials. Now, they may not be the one that's actually acting out of their normal behavior, but if someone steals their credentials and starts doing something that doesn't align with that user's normal habits, you're going to realize that, okay, somebody stole this user's credentials, whether or not it was another insider threat or if it was someone outside the company. But by leveraging UEBA, you're going to know whether or not someone is acting normal or someone else is on that account acting out. I know you had a lot more in-depth different ways to figure it out. If you want to elaborate on some of those.
Yes, on the endpoint. So the first thing, if you suspect somebody to be an insider threat, the first thing I'm checking, or this is a list, it doesn't have to be in this order, but these are the first things that I am checking. If you suspect somebody to be insider threat, the first thing, it would be a DLP of alerts or events. I'm looking for USB detections or connections to a host that the user is logged in on. The fastest way that you can probably see that information about the workstation that the user is logged in on is in the C Windows INF file folder location. There's a file called setup.api.dev.log. Under the configure driver section, that's where you can see the USB information. I'm also looking for several Windows event IDs if you want to go that way to see if there's any type of USB connections. I'm looking for event ID 2003, 2004, 2005, 2010, 2100, and 2105. And I think another one is 2106. Those all indicate some type of plug and play or USB connections, device connections. Also, you can check to see if there was staged burning, where a user probably may have staged some files to be burnt. You can check that out in the registry under the HKey current user folder, software folder. And I think the direct path is HKey current user, software, Microsoft Windows, current version, Explorer, shell folders, and CD burning. So if they're plugging in the CD burner, or you can actually see the data staged. Look at some of that data in the registry to see what was staged to be burnt. You can also look at it on their local app data profile under Microsoft Windows burn folder and see some of that stuff. Another trick I like to do is, if you suspect somebody to be stealing information, I like to look at, this, you have to get approval first in order to do this, because you could be breaking a lot of laws, but I like to look for unsaved Word documents. And that's the event ID for that is 300. If you want to look at it on the actual host, you could go on there, users app data local profile under Microsoft Office unsaved files, and you will see maybe a Word document or an Excel document. It'll be in the 300 series. You can see one of those documents in there, and if you open it, you will see data. Maybe they copied some data to a file and close it out because they saw somebody coming. But you can actually look for those if you suspect that person of insider threat activity. Another thing I would like to look for is accesses to network shares. That would be like an event ID 5140. And if they touch a file, I would like to look at event ID 4663. That's if that auditing is turned on, by the way. So there's a set Paul command line command that I would run in Windows to see what auditing is turned on that particular host. Mm-hmm. So I would start there and then pivot back. And I will only run these first. I will get approval, but I will also run these if you suspect somebody to be insider threat.
So along the lines of getting approval, something else is email logs. Check for size of files, or if they're doing attachments or they're sending emails to a personal Gmail account. Mm-hmm. That's something to take into consideration. As far as the last episode of Detections I listened to about behavioral analysis, there is a lot from there. Like if the guy that's always happy in the office, when people are actually in the office, hey, when he starts, hey, I'm always you're happy. In the office?
No, I'm at home. But I'm always happy.
I was going to say, I haven't been in the office in so long to know who the happy guy is anymore. Yeah. But if you're in the office and somebody's always happy and they're quiet, or their behavior seems a little more erratic, they may be someone you want to keep your eye on. I'm not trying to make everyone paranoid. I'm paranoid by nature, but not everyone else needs to be. But if you know that one guy always gambles a lot, he's being a little erratic, maybe keep an eye on him.
He always wants to go to Maryland Live.
Yep.
Meet me up there for happy hour. That guy, watch him. Watch that guy.
Yeah, because if he starts being a little angry, he may not have had a great day with the ponies. Yeah. And there's no telling what he may be trying to sell to get some of that money back.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's some different things we could go into, but no need to kill everything that they may be able to use as a detection in a future show along with insider threats.
Yeah.
Any final thing you want to close with? Anything you want to plug? I know you do some teaching for SOC.
Yes. Max Prod Technologies. I started that company in July. It's a new startup. I will be launching everything about that company in the first quarter of next year. But I do teach a class for those who are trying to get into SOC work. And my number one is private right now, but my number one customers are folks who have the certs and degrees. Most of them have security clearances, and they just need the hands-on experience. So I teach a class called the SOC Experience. It's a private course. I teach you hands-on skills. I have a lab here where you remote in, and a lot of the stuff can be found, on open source. A lot of this stuff can be found on the web, but to actually piece all of that stuff together, for somebody to understand, operationalize it, that's what I do. So they remote into my lab environment. I assign them a PC. And on that PC is all the tools that I would use in a SOC. And we go from cradle to grave. I teach you how to use every tool. I teach you all the methodologies that we will use, like MITRE and the cyber kill chain and the DABA model. I teach you playbooks. I teach you how to read logs. I teach you how to read PCAPs. I teach you how to move around on both Windows and Linux systems. And I also teach you how to defend. So how to create rules, how to block things on a firewall, things that I would do in a SOC or I have done in a SOC. Everything I'm teaching, I have done it in a SOC environment or in a watch environment. I teach everything that I've seen, everything that I've wrote down, every note that I've taken. I teach that, and then at the end of it, we do a real live incident. After we go over I think one of the first sessions is going over different types of malware by name. I will run one of the malwares in the environment that you're logged into. And it's your job to, everything I taught you is your job to detect it, report on it, and stop it from spreading. And it is a timed activity to see how fast your detection is, to see how fast that you respond to events and incidents, and see how fast you report on it. From that's the hands-on piece of the SOC experience. You do get your resume. You do get a updated resume from the SOC experience, but you also get an interview, a mock interview with a real life SOC manager. I don't know what questions the SOC manager will ask. My job is just to train them on how I know how to do things. And students from the past have passed the mock interview piece to go on to apply and be ready for real SOC roles. So that whole course, the SOC experience, will be going live public in the first quarter of next year. I know there are other SOC trainings out there that folks can take. This is not just a boot camp. I don't cram you for 2 or 3 days and say, be on your way. You actually spend time with me. So we break the sessions up in like weeks times and stuff like that, just so I can make sure you understand the material, because it is hands-on training that you're getting. So I look forward to posting that information soon. And it has been going. The private courses has been going well. I have a good number of students that are paying for that. So okay. I'm excited about it.
Are you going to post that on your Twitter?
I'm going to post it on my Twitter.
What's your Twitter again?
It's at Commandante Bowie, the CyberReverend, at Commandante Bowie. That's my Twitter handle. And okay. You may have seen a post recently, if you check it out, of I have like a data flow chart, kind of like a flow chart of what type of attacks that I'm going to hit my students up with this week. And don't ask me where I got the malware from. I'm not allowed to tell you. But I am going to hit my students with ransomware this week. And their job is to detect it, stop it, and report on it. So I'm excited about that.
Awesome. So I personally don't have anything that I'm doing that's that awesome. However, something I'm doing that is tied to Detections podcast is I am working with someone that I work with. You can find him on GitHub at IT Pro Paul. So what we're doing is we're taking the detections each podcast from the Detections podcast, and we are mapping those to the MITRE ATT&CK framework.
Oh, sweet.
I know that we have a couple of them done so far. We're still working through a lot of them. So if you're someone that really likes to dig into the detections from the show and you do follow along with the MITRE ATT&CK framework and you can write in YAML, we are mapping those out with YAML file submissions. So you can find that at GitHub, IT Pro Paul, and the Detections podcast detections. Right now, everything is up there ready to go. I'm doing it kind of in a Kanban type format just because I like everything organized. But you can come in, you can grab one of those issues and you can work through it. It's open for anybody to be able to work through, and anybody that wants to help, we would definitely appreciate it.
Sweet.
Outside of that, man, I am just excited to finally get into cybersecurity, and I would love to thank Understudy, and I would love to thank Exiled for giving us this opportunity. This has been amazing, guys. You really have no idea what this means to me. This has been an awesome opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. This is actually my first podcast ever.
Mine as well.
I'm excited about this, and I hope he didn't. I hope it's what they were. It was not subpar, but it was what they were looking for. So thank you again for this opportunity.
And I want to thank you guys for kind of being the first ones that I've seen have reached that hand out there for those of us that are in the underrepresented minority in IT and cybersecurity. Having those allies, guys, that is just, you may kind of have a grasp on it, but I don't think you guys can really grasp just what that means. Yeah. So often things that we say kind of just fly under the radar, and it just having this opportunity to be able to get it out there like we have tonight has just been an awesome opportunity.
Yeah. And usually some of the stuff we talked about tonight will be posted on like a Twitter, and it, like you said, it's overlooked. Mm-hmm. It's overlooked. Everything's in the weeds of people fighting on Twitter.
Somebody else will post it that have more of a following, and then everybody thinks it's the greatest idea ever.
Yeah. after you done posted it first, and it's like not even no likes, maybe 5 likes, then somebody else posts the same thing, and
oh my God, sliced bread, it's back.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, it's just
so thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Definitely. So everybody out there, go forth and find badness.